received a request for child support from a woman I've never met. I'm a cis woman and have never had children. Plus updates. Original post. A few days ago, I received a notice from an attorney that I'm being sued for child support from a woman I have never met nor heard of. Context: I am a biological woman. I am straight. I have 0 children. I've never done surrogacy, egg donation, or even given birth or come close to it. I contacted the attorney listed on the document, a fairly well-known attorney around where I live, to make sure it was legit. And yep, it's legit. He stated that his client came to him to sue me for backdated and future child support for a 15-year-old and stated that I am the biological father. The attorney had my name, address, and info like my birthday, where I went to high school, etc. Yet somehow didn't know that I am a woman? The attorney also stated that the woman is in her 40s, repeated her name to me, and verified with me if I know her. I stated I've never met or heard of her. I'm a biological woman who has never had a child, and even brought up that if I was a man and was the bio-dad, how would she not be in trouble for statutory rape, as I would have been barely 15 when the child was conceived, and she would have been mid to late 20s. The attorney stated that as an attorney, he needs to follow through, and I need to see him and sign the documents and do a DNA test to confirm any relation to the child. I informed the attorney that it's literally impossible for me to be the father, but he won't take no for an answer and told me to bring my lawyer to his office tomorrow. Do I actually need to get an attorney? Can I just show up and be like, look at me, very much a woman and have never given birth. Leave me alone. I need some proper guidance on where to go from here. Now for the top advice before reading the update. Do not meet with this a-hole. Let them serve you a court summons if they want, and show up in your Sunday's best. And bring your birth certificate with you. Do not go to his office. Let him sue you and show up to court with birth certificate in hand. Definitely no DNA test. This whole thing sounds weird. What about the bar complaint for mispresenting facts to the court? Correct. Her failing his duty to properly investigate a claim prior to bringing an action. Now for the update. First, to answer some questions I received via PM and saw posted. No, I do not have a masculine/gender-neutral name. I actually have a very long feminine first and middle name. Both are also spelled very uniquely. Yes, I have brothers. No, none of them have passed, so I wasn't being sued in their place. They're all alive and well, and even easier to get in touch with than I am, as I'm not even in social media. And they are all very active in social media and have public pages, LinkedIn profiles, etc. Much easier to find randomly through a Google search. Yes, I also have a father. No, he wasn't the one I was being sued for child support on behalf of. In the beginning, this woman stated that I didn't even have any family by the way. She told the attorneys I can give him the family he's never had, since he's been alone his whole life, referring to me as he. Even if one of my brothers was the father and I did a DNA test, which I didn't, there would still be no way to prove I'm biologically related to this child, as I'm adopted. The only relation to my siblings is literally because my parents signed a piece of paper and drove to pick me up from state custody. Also, if she were trying to set up the DNA test to prove a familial link to the kid without a father present, if she knew anything worth her time about my family, she would have gone to my sister, who is biologically related to the rest of my adoptive family, adopted from another family member. No, I thankfully have not been a victim of identity theft. This was not someone posing as me. And thankfully there was no shady stuff in trying to change the paperwork from bio-dad to mom. Even in the documents this woman's lawyer presented to my attorney, and the documents I was sent, it clearly stated that I was supposedly the biological father. Now as to what happened. I went to the attorney's office with my attorney as he requested during our call yesterday. And guess what? The suit was dismissed. It happened very quickly, thank God. I thought we would meet with the judge, because that's how I assumed it worked. But we went to the lawyer's office and met with him and the woman who filed the suit. I got an attorney as I reached out to a friend who lives in my state, as a lot of his families are attorneys, one of the families where it's in their blood basically. Turns out, his aunt handles family cases. He got me in touch with her and we spoke. After I told her the situation, she laughed and said she'd do it pro bono just for the entertainment. Apparently, she knows the other attorney and says he's a prick. So I guess that's a benefit for me since she was more than happy to represent me. We met with the attorney, showed my birth certificate, ID, passport, adoption papers, and my initial BC prior to adoption for good measure. The attorney was frustrated with his client obviously, but very kind with myself and my attorney about it. He apologized for the inconvenience. The whole thing was dismissed, and while my attorney initially suggested an order of protection, because clearly this woman was unwell, as while we were in the office she was saying that I was a man who had a sex change to dodge support, which is why she referred to me as he and said I make more than enough money, and my money belongs to her and our child, etc., etc. We ultimately decided against a restraining order, as after all of the insanity, she was honest about how this came about. She, myself, and my male cousin used to work in the same place over a decade ago. I worked a different shift in a different part of the building. She was a secretary, and he was a typical office worker. He is the father of her child, as apparently they had known each other for years prior. But he is also now a convicted violent felon, currently incarcerated and not on a birth certificate. They are the same age, and they went to school together in the next town over. Since she had access to my information, as the office still has prior employee records, and knows I'm his cousin as he told her I was his cousin and I worked there, even though I never crossed paths with either of them there. Didn't even know she worked there. Knew he did, but never saw him due to different shifts/areas. She said she confirmed the connection via Facebook because he has our family listed, and with that, she was able to link my cousin to his father, which led to my mother as he has her listed as a sister. She's his sister-in-law. My mother was always my emergency contact, so she has access to the information. She said since she was able to get my contact information in the easiest way, she figured she could throw a suit at me, get a DNA test, then lead back to him and she would try to go over him and to my uncle for support, as he retired from a good job and has disposable income, and my cousin is incarcerated. No, I don't understand her thought process, because honestly, I have no idea how any of this works, or if that is even a thing she could possibly do. Also, she said she was recently fired, which is why this came up now. And since she knew my cousin was incarcerated and she needed money, she found me via our last name and made a copy of my resume and important info in my life. After all the theatrics and chaos, etc., she said she finally decided to give up the fight because she realized she couldn't win. Especially once I presented my paperwork and mentioned that some of it was my initial adoption/birth records before the adoption. That's when she realized there was zero chance that the DNA test would get her where she wanted with everything. Sorry if this isn't the super exciting update you were looking for, but I'm just glad it's over. At the end of it, I just hope she gets help, but I'm staying far away and warning my family about her. I hope you all have a great day. Wow, what a psycho. I get that she is desperate, but she should have texted your cousin's dad and told him about the situation and then went from there. But you should at least let your uncle know that he has a grandson out there that he did not know about, so he can decide what he wants to do about that situation. I definitely am going to inform him and more members of my family just in case. However, according to her, she has no way of contacting anyone else in my family. She only got my info from taking it from an old employee file from a decade ago. That may be possible, but if she found out where you live, she could have at least sent you a certified letter explaining the situation, and I'm sure you would have gotten your uncle in touch with her, lol. That's what I figured too. Without sounding mean, she seems very unwell. She genuinely thought this was the best method to handle the situation. Unfortunately, in the end, she screwed herself over. The suit has been dismissed, and now she'll most likely be reported to the former employer for stealing private records. Plus, my uncle has no responsibility for this kid. He doesn't even have a relationship with his son nowadays, since he's incarcerated for life. Her best option at this point is to pursue paternity with a violent convicted felon that isn't even allowed around children. I feel for her, but I hope she gets any help she needs and things get better for her and the kid. I hope she gets the help that she needs as well. I know this child is in no way, shape, or form your uncle's responsibility, but you took away the option of her son potentially having family and his life by doing what she did. From what I've found out today, she has plenty of family and was with someone up until right before she lost her job recently. The other dude has helped her raise the kid and still plans to be in the kid's life, but as he has no legal responsibilities, she got desperate and decided this was the best method. It's just kind of a mess of a situation, and it comes down to her needing help that even finances can't provide. There's also the issue of legal repercussions, since she openly admitted to stealing private documents and providing her attorney with them with false pretenses. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not congratulating family on a pregnancy that is a terrible idea? My 30 female close family member, 34 male, is expecting their third child with her wife, 34 female. They have 2 children, both under 5, who they frankly have done terrible job raising. Wife is a stay-at-home mom and smokes weed all day while her kids are plopped in front of the TV. The kids aren't in preschool, potty trained, verbally up to par, etc. They've had CPS called on them more than once. They don't have a strong marriage. There has been infidelity in both parties. Recently, about 3-ish months ago, there was a blowout regarding her having an affair. She claimed she was feeling suicidal. I had to take the kids. It was just a mess. They also financially aren't doing great. regularly asking their parents for money. Wild, considering they always have funds for weed and going out. They're basically a hot mess. My family member just told me they were expecting again. I very plainly asked, "How are you feeling about that?" And this was not well received. He said, "You're not happy for us. There's going to be another baby in the family." And again, I very plainly ask, "Do you think you're doing a good job with the children you have?" And that last bit really set him off. He said a lot of kind things, and we're currently not on speaking terms. They aren't good parents. They aren't providing their kids with a happy, safe family. They cannot afford another child. The math of this affair, or mathing to this child, could be fathered from the affair. Not every pregnancy is a good one. They should not be celebrated. Their family, and obviously the baby, is innocent in this, but am I the a-hole here? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. He got mad because he knows you're right. If you speak with him again, make sure to remind him that this kid has a chance of not being his. These kids surely would be better off without their parents. Otherwise, they're being set up for a difficult life where they think all of these behaviors are normal, which could result in a vicious cycle in your family. It is actually a good time to remind your family member that there is still time to get his act together. Not the a-hole. They need several hard doses of reality. And to be honest, you were pretty kind about delivering one as gently as you did, considering you've had to step in. If they're as behind as it sounds like, those existing kids are probably destined for foster care within a year or two. And I think they know they're running on borrowed time there. Not even. I discharged a 7-week-old with an old brain bleed, home to the parents that did it just a couple of weeks ago. CPS cleared them. Their line was inconsistent with the nature of the injuries. For the social worker who witnessed the interview, the CPS worker said, "If you say she fell from a high chair, she can go home with you." So they did. But she's 7 weeks old. She doesn't have the head or trunk control to sit in a high chair. I'd never seen a neurosurgeon cry before that day. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my ex-husband's mother he was lying about our divorce? Me, 38 female, and my ex, 37 male, got divorced about 3 years ago. We have 2 children, 9 male and 4 male, who we shared custody of. The divorce was caused by 2 things. Me finding him in our bed with another woman, and the fact that his reaction upon me kicking her out and getting upset with him was to pick up our nightstand lamp and try to hit me over the head with it. During the divorce, there was a stalking problem I'm not going to get into, and we ended up getting court-mandated counseling when it started clearly affecting our sons. Counseling ended up helping, and after the mandated period was over, he decided to find a therapist closer to his home and set up regular sessions. We spent holidays together, so our sons can have their entire family around. So with Thanksgiving coming up, we all get together and decide to host at my house. While our kids are out getting some quality grandparent time with my parents, me, my brother, ex, and mother-in-law are sitting around and chatting to relax a bit. And a conversation turns from the holiday season to our sons and to our divorce. My mother-in-law mentions that it's nice seeing us still being civil, instead of at each other's throats. And ex mentions that talking about it helped. I initially think he's talking about therapy, as I'm sure anyone would, but then he starts talking about it further. According to him, we just didn't mesh well together as spouses, and we both grew miserable in the relationship. When he saw it was upsetting our sons, he took it upon himself to start the discussion. After a very long and difficult conversation, we both decided divorce is the best option. He then tells his mother that he was lucky our talk had been peaceful, instead of a mess like online stories. I admittedly wasn't thinking. I mentioned how I wouldn't say cheating on me and then trying to knock me out was peaceful, but that I was glad he had such an optimistic view of it. His mother lost it on him, while me and brother just dipped for a bit. And afterwards, ex pulled me aside to tell me that it wasn't right for me to tell his mom about what happened and air his dirty laundry. That he had apologized and changed, and was still actively trying to get better, and that it hurt to know I was still upset with him over a mistake that happened years ago. My brother said that he understood where I was coming from and agrees with me, but that it was a bit of a prick move to tell his mom during a holiday, instead of simply putting him aside and talking to him about it, especially since we'd all be under the same roof for a few days. No one told my parents or the kids what happened when they finally got back, but I'm not naive enough to believe they haven't noticed that something had happened. Not the a-hole. Not a freaking chance in this world that you should have to feel a little bit of sympathy for that. He didn't just give 2 cents about marriage while betting someone in your bed, your home, and had the audacity to have a reaction and physically abused you. He assaulted you in your home. Not sure what kind of a father he is, but his family should be aware about his deeds and why this marriage is not working out anymore. It's not about dirty laundry. He made those choices consciously. My husband has never raised his voice at me once, even when I'm wrong. Good relationships are possible. Don't let this stupid, crappy world have you feel otherwise. He just wants to have a perfect picture in his family and friends' eyes, like some men would like to have, because hiding your nonsense becomes easier that way. Again, not the a-hole. Please don't feel bad. Not only did he lie by omission to being a cheater and abuser, he had the audacity to pretend he was the one who recognized the problem and took positive, proactive steps to end the marriage on good terms. What a giant a-hole. OP, your brother is wrong. You were completely right to let his mother know exactly what he's capable of. I'm so mad on your behalf. At least mother-in-law was also mad and didn't try to defend her precious baby like so many do. Much like an addict, he still has some work to do and hasn't taken full responsibility for his actions. He actively lied right in front of your face to make himself look better. He had 1,000 choices of how to admit fault, and he chose to blatantly lie. He 100% deserved to be called out on his behavior. And I don't think therapy is actually helping if he's lying about where the blame belongs. Update. Am I the a-hole? My best friend's wife told him that she had an affair with me. Original post. The last 4 days have been the most horrible in my life. I have no idea how to deal with anything and wanted to get opinions on what to do next, since I see posts like this on Reddit. My best friend's wife told him that she had an affair with me, which never happened. I, 35 male, have been married to my wife, 35 female, for 8 years. We have 2 wonderful kids. But this is about my friend Josh, 35 male, and his wife, married, 34 female. I met Josh during my freshman year of college, and we have been friends ever since. We have always shared our love for tech, and he's always my go-to guy when I need someone to talk to. Josh started dating Mary 5 years ago. Let's just say Mary has a very different set of morals than my wife or me. She's very loud, manipulative, and just craves attention. Josh and Mary had been dating on and off for 4 years. They broke up often, but somehow always ended up together after a few months. Mary is always the one who breaks up with Josh, and then takes him back. I also know that Mary cheated on Josh at least with 2 guys when they were dating, but somehow convinced him that he was not putting enough effort into the relationship. Josh always blames himself for Mary not being happy. My wife also knows about all of this and has always kept her distance from Mary. However, we do meet her often during parties with friends. Josh and Mary got married last year, and last month Josh found out that Mary was cheating on him again and had an affair with one of her co-workers. Josh was completely broken and stayed at our place for a week, before going back and confronting Mary and kicking her out of the house. Josh bought the house before marriage, and hence he had to get the cops involved to kick her out. From what we know, Mary moved back to her parents' house. I've been helping Josh through the process, and he filed for divorce last week. Last Saturday, Mary came to Josh's house to collect her stuff along with her dad. I had advised Josh to get out of the house when they came, but he wanted to make sure she did not take anything that did not belong to her. During her visit, Josh got into a fight with Mary, and Mary told Josh that she had an affair with me while they were married, and we used to do it in their bedroom. This is all 100% false. I have always known that Mary was trouble and kept my distance from her. I feel like she's just trying to hurt Josh by saying that. After that incident, Josh got extremely agitated and came to our house. I saw he was distressed and knew something was wrong. As I opened the door, he started cursing at me and accusing me of sleeping with Mary. Luckily, the kids were not at home, but my wife and I were there, and we were both shocked by what he was saying. He tried to hit me, but luckily he hit my shoulder, and I was able to wrestle him on the ground and calm him down. I kept telling him that what Mary told him was completely false, and that I had never spent a single minute with her alone in my life. My wife threatened to call the cops and he left. After he left, my wife was completely inconsolable. It took me hours to calm her down and convince her that Mary was manipulating Josh. I work from home and rarely leave my house without my wife or kids. I think she believes me, but she has been different for the last 4 days. Josh told a lot of my close friends that I was having an affair with Mary. He's not taking my calls or my wife's calls. My wife tried to call Mary, but she was also not taking our calls. All my friends, including Josh, think that I am the biggest a-hole for getting involved with his freaking wife. I have no idea how to convince anyone that this is false. I'm just so frustrated. Can someone please give me advice on what I can do next? Now for the top advice before reading the update. Consult with a lawyer. Ask if you have a case to sue Mary for defamation. I'm serious. She's telling lies you should be able to prove are false. and she's doing measurable damage to your life and reputation. If a lawyer thinks you have a case, you should file ASAP. Good idea. Might be my last resort to get truth out of Mary. Yes, at the very least threaten her with suing her for defamation. Honestly, that's messed up, dude. I struggle to understand, given the context, how your wife and friends don't believe you. But it sounds like you need to just clear the air with a simple denial that you did it. Offer to give evidence to anyone who doesn't believe you, if you have any. And that you're happy to be friends still, but won't be talking about the situation. Their choice. As for your wife, you've got to take a softer approach, of course. But still tell her she needs to either believe you, allow her to do any kind of investigating or whatever to verify it if she can, or you guys need to go to counseling. No half measures and no treating you differently because you can't prove a negative. Anyway, that's what I would do. Damn, dude. I'm sorry, man. I'll say a prayer for you. Terminal weakling syndrome and your friend, dude. It's hard to prove definitively that he didn't do this. This is why false allegations like this can be so damaging. This, except if she gives specific details like dates, times, etc., and he can show he was doing something else / being somewhere else. But Mary doesn't seem inclined to do it. Regarding his wife, he can offer to check his phone or ask for a list of his phone calls to show her they haven't got any contacts. Now for the update. First of all, thanks to the commenter and everyone who suggested that we should file for defamation. I just kept on thinking in my head how I could get Mary to tell the truth and convince Josh that I had completely forgotten the legal route. I was not able to update, as the lawyers had told us to not say anything until we got a confession from Mary. After posting on Reddit, my wife and I spent a few hours at night reading through all the comments. We immediately decided to explore whether we could sue Mary for defamation. Some of you suggested that I should take a polygraph test. I asked my wife if we should find a place for that, and she smiled. She said she does not doubt me one bit, but we can't let people have any doubt that I had an affair with Mary. Our kids are friends with her kids, and we can't live with them thinking I had an affair with Mary. She just wanted us to be strong and solve the issue as soon as possible. In the morning, we messaged my wife's mother's friend, who is a very experienced attorney. We called her based on the time she gave us in the morning and explained the issue. She said that we should pursue the legal route, but she does not handle such cases, and gave us the contact of another attorney in her firm and set up a meeting with her at noon. We went to visit her and discussed the issue. The lawyer told us that we could sue Mary as she made false accusations, and there is a precedent of considering what she said as slander, as it attacked my character and we can prove emotional distress. However, she told us that a defamation lawsuit is a very long and expensive process, and may take several years. She told us that Mary has a weak hand, and she will not want to go to court. Hence, we should give her a way out by telling her to give in writing that what she said was false. Moreover, as she said a false statement to Josh, we would need Josh to state what she said. I won't go into details here, but might post it in the comments later on. However, we came up with a plan for sending her a letter of intent to sue for defamation. The attorney worked on this, and we got notified that Mary received a letter on Friday morning at her parents' place. The letter told her that we would sue her by the end of the month if she did not provide an official statement in writing that the statements she had made were false. The letter also told Mary to only communicate via the law firm regarding this matter. As planned, I messaged Josh and told him we had decided to sue Mary for defamation due to the false statements she made about the affair. We would leave no stone unturned to prove that the allegations are false. Our lawyers will contact you next week, and we hope you cooperate with them and tell them exactly what she said to you. On Saturday morning, as I was cooking breakfast and my wife was sitting with our kids, the doorbell rang. I saw the Ring camera that Josh and Mary standing outside the door. Before I could tell my wife to stay back and not open the door, she bolted towards the door. She opened it and started yelling at Josh. She's 5 foot nothing tall, but she's scary when she's angry. She just started calling him names. And how can he destroy our lives when we supported him at his lowest? Josh just kept saying he just wanted to talk to me and kept repeating that. He looked down. My wife just kept on yelling at him and telling him to get lost. Mary started talking then, saying that she was sorry for what she said, that Josh was hurting her as she was packing, and she just said that hurt him. She just kept on saying that Josh is such an idiot and has created such a big mess. My wife turned to her and told her that she better find a good lawyer and to reply to our lawyers. At last, she told Josh that if he wanted to meet me, go and first make things right for me, and then slammed the door. I was watching all this from the breakfast table through a Ring camera and realized that we recorded the whole conversation, including Mary confessing her lies. I felt so relieved in the moment knowing that I had proof of her telling the truth. We forwarded the video to our lawyer, and she sent a thumbs up and called us briefly to say that we should meet on Monday to discuss the next steps. After an hour or so, Josh messaged our friend group that he did a terrible thing and spread false statements about me. He is ashamed of it and wants to apologize for it. Moments later, Mary messaged saying that some statements she made were misconstrued by Josh and that what he told everyone was false. Their relationship is going through rocky times and would thank everyone for giving them privacy and to pray for them. The rest of the day has been great. I've been taking my kids to their Saturday activities and playing with them, while my wife was talking on the phone with all of my friends' wives and her friends gossiping about what happened. The only thing I told her was to not send a ring video of Josh and me from last week, and not to mention Mary's affair to them. I still think it's a private matter that Josh told us in confidence, and we should respect that. Everyone was shocked that Josh attacked me physically. Regarding my friends, I made a blanket statement that they all hate me the last post. But in reality, 4 of my friends called me during this week to ask me what was going on. They told me they knew how crazy Mary was and asked me how they could support me. One of the friends was the one that Josh had called. He told me that Josh told him that Mary had an affair with me and he had filed for divorce. He conveniently left out the part about her cheating on her coworker. I don't think anyone apart from my wife and I know the whole story. He knows at least 2 of the other friends Josh called and said the same. Due to this, the gossip started spreading that they were divorcing because of me, and most of my friends were just waiting on the sidelines instead of extending support to me. However, I think I learned who are the people that got my back in need. About Josh, we still plan to file for TROs against him and Mary next week. The lawyer said we should be able to get it for Josh as there is clear evidence of danger, but Mary might be a long shot. We will see what to do from there. As for our friendship, it's done. It ended the minute he decided to hit me, instead of at least asking me if it was true. I can't have people like him around my wife and kids. He was a great friend, but my family and their safety have a way higher priority than him. For Mary, I guess she wins. My wife still wants to push to get her to pay our legal fees. We will see what to do on Monday. However, she was able to destroy Josh's support system with one lie. I was helping Josh through the whole divorce process, but he is on his own now. I also do not think many of my friends would be kind to him after the nonsense he tried to do at my house. I feel bad for him, and I know he needs support and professional help. However, I did my part, and I hope he understands what's right for him in the future. Thanks again for so many helpful comments. My wife also wants to thank all of you, and I'm glad that this is over now. Still not the a-hole, but... So Josh is still going to stay with her? After she A. said he was abusing her and that compelled her false confession even though her dad was with her, and then B. backpedaled further by saying he misconstrued things she said, he's got problems. I'd send him the screenshot of her message, essentially placing the blame on him for misunderstanding her lie instead of her making it up in the first place. But she also point blank said Josh is an idiot and has created such a big mess, and he did/said nothing. Finally, you legally notified her of your attention of an attorney and to direct all communication through said attorney. She violated that order by coming to your home and again later by directly messaging you. Further, your attorney asked that she make this statement in writing and not in person or over the phone. You're lucky your camera caught the confession, but your attorney should be able to get an order against her violating the terms of your cease and desist letter. Sounds like they deserve each other. At this point, yeah, they do. OP unfortunately needs to realize the friend he knew his whole life is gone. She's fundamentally changed him for the worse as a person, and he has no hope of returning to the person he once was, until she's out of his life. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not doing anything to prevent my female 35 husband male 35 from cheating with his work wifey, female 25? So I met work wifey last Thursday at a Christmas party. She introduced herself as work wifey, and she called my husband work hubby and told that to everyone. When she saw me, she just exclaimed, "Oh, we are like 2 totally different people. How weird is that?" Not weird at all. We don't know each other. No, I mean like because your husband and I get along so well, like we like totally get each other and have a lot in common. Like totally. That's why he's like my work hubby. I didn't know what a manic pixie dream girl was, but apparently she was one, and apparently it was something to brag about. I just found the whole thing very amusing, but on our way home, it wasn't very amusing anymore. I felt a little bit of ick watching my husband's profile, wondering what was going on in his head. He has told me about his new colleague that he got along with. He told me that she was great at her job and that she was a gamer like him. I don't even know how to hold a joystick properly. Not even sure if it's called a joystick anymore. Ugh, I sound like a boomer, don't I? I know that they text a lot too, even on weekends. I never thought about that before now. I found myself sat at the toilet seat at 3:30 a.m. scrolling through his phone in total silence not to wake him up. She's very youthful and quirky. Her words, not mine. She's very funny too. Again, her words, not mine. She calls him hubs and hubby in every text. And in one text, she warned him that men fell easily for her and that she just wanted to give him the heads up. I guess it is because she's a youthful, quirky, funny, manic pixie dream girl gamer. Her last text was from the same evening after we left the party. She wrote that she was pissed that he didn't say goodbye before leaving, and that I was a bit surprising to her because she didn't expect him to have this type. OMG, your wife is boring. I didn't expect that. I felt ashamed when I came to my senses. Cowering over his phone and reading weird and very juvenile messages, instead of being sound asleep beside my husband that makes me safe in our relationship, but I couldn't help but agree with manic wifey in some parts. Why is he continually engaging with her? He doesn't flirt back, nor does he initiate conversations, but he doesn't really shut her down. My husband can be stupid in not noticing flirting, but I feel that this is beyond being stupid. Does he enjoy the attention, or worse, does he reciprocate it? In that case, she is not wrong in what is he doing with someone like me who is totally different from whatever is going on between them. Today I had my usual brunch with my mom, aunt, sister, and sister-in-law. They said that I was an a-hole for not nipping it in the bud, and by it they meant the budding affair. I disagreed, and tried to explain that I couldn't be in a relationship where I needed to stand guard to keep away temptations. I want a marriage where he is with me because he wants to be with me, and if it cheats, then he doesn't want to be with me. My mother was the one who got most upset, and called me a moron and an a-hole, and said that this was the mature thing to do. I need to tell my husband to end this friendship, because if I didn't, then I'll let him cheat. Am I the a-hole? I can't believe what life this is that they want me to lead, and how it is so normal for my family to think that way. I want a willing husband, not a prisoner. I want someone who wants me 100%, or nothing. Not the a-hole, but I would be having a conversation with your husband about it and telling him how you feel. Whether he's initiating the conversation or flirting or not doesn't really matter, if he's entertaining the conversation regardless. His colleague is bold, that's for sure. I can't believe she had the audacity to introduce herself to you as his work wife and then turn around to talk badly about you to your husband. She's fishing him to see what he thinks about his wife. Yes, she gave him an opening to criticize her. Awful woman. The work wifey and work hubby crap needs to be shut down now. It's totally inappropriate, and your husband needs to put an end to it. Ask him how he would feel if you were engaging in this behavior with another man. We had a work wifey and work hubby at my job. They thought it was harmless and cute. Then they left their long-term partners to be together. Their relationship lasted for 2 months, and now they hate each other. Who wants to work with their partner? Update. Am I the a-hole for kicking out my boyfriend's ex? Original post. I, 36 female, and my boyfriend, 42 male, have been together for 7 years. We have both been married and divorced before and like to be financially independent of each other and keep things pretty separate. What's mine is mine and what's his is his. I am CF. I've worked my butt up in my field and I'm comfortable. My boyfriend doesn't earn what I do. He pays a lot of child support to and contributes, as he should, to all of his 5 kids' after-school activities. So our deal between us is I pay all of our household bills / loans / food, and he looks after his kids and contributes what he can to our household. 5 years ago, I bought a home for us. I even went as far as buying a home that would suit his kids, so they would feel comfortable when they came and stayed with us. This caused a lot of drama. His ex felt that I was trying to buy the children, and in her words, she only got the house to rub in how much better she thinks she is. I have always kept my distance from his ex. It was a messy divorce for them, which she blamed on me, even though I didn't met my partner until they've been separated for nearly a year. She has a history of DV towards him, and my presence makes it worse. 18 months ago, I got a great job opportunity which would mean we would need to relocate 12 hours away from our current home. After discussions between my boyfriend and I, and my boyfriend and his ex, we agreed that we would make the move for my job, and would rent my house to his ex for an incredible discounted rate with the agreement that this would only be for 2 years. Recently, my work circumstances have changed, and we have relocated back to our hometown again. My boyfriend and I have found a small rental in the meantime. But since coming home, his ex has become more aggressive, particularly with me. She has told my partner the children have always hated me, and were only nice because of him, but don't ever want to see me again. She has accused me of trying to buy the kids' love, making her look like a bad mother, and for basically being the root of all evil. Which is whatever to me. I do love the kids in my own way, but would hate to make them choose or feel uncomfortable by being around me. So we are making sure that my boyfriend spends as much time as possible with the kids and attends any sports or school events without me. And when I go away from work, they come to our house. I've suggested therapy or counseling, but the ex won't hear it. making it sound like I'm calling her bad mother for suggesting it. The 2 years is ending and I want my house back. Basically, the ex is saying if I'm rich enough to pay for a rental and pay a mortgage now, I should let her and the kids stay in the house. And since the kids now hate me, it would be a waste of space for just my boyfriend and I. And this situation is also leading to his kids telling my partner that they hate me even more for kicking them and their mother out of their home. My boyfriend is very torn. He just wants his kids safe and happy. Now for the top comments before reading the updates. Not the a-hole. It's your house. Don't let her manipulate you just because you can't afford it and she can't. Gives me the vibes of this lady I read in a magazine years ago. She won £1.4 million on the lottery, and people stole her a car that she lent them because you can't just buy a new one. Just because you can't afford a different house doesn't mean you owe this woman your house. Give her a month's notice, and you're gonna have to accept it if the kids are angry. You can't control how they feel, and if they're gonna be mad at you and not like you anyway, then that's up to them. They need to learn that they can't just walk over people and get what they want, which is what their mother is clearly teaching them. It was an incredibly bad idea to have the ex rent the house. From OP's POV, it was incredibly generous. Doesn't matter, the ex is always going to interpret everything the worst possible way. Now, OP is the bad guy for not simply giving the ex the house, which is utterly nonsense, but honestly predictable. OP needs to take back the house, but be ready for it to require an eviction and for the house to be torn up and OP to be depicted as the worst kind of person. OP is not a hole, but she's terribly naive and has poor judgment. This was always a bad idea. OP, what are you getting out of this relationship really? Because this isn't going to end well, it will just get worse. Why are you financially supporting this guy who won't stand up for you? You claim he's working hard for both of you and the kids, but it doesn't seem that way. He has been letting his ex call all the shots in your relationship. Who are you in a relationship with? Him or his ex? You really don't need any of this. Once they're gone from your life, you'll feel a lot better. You're fighting a losing battle. Your boyfriend will never stand up for himself and call out his ex for parental alienation and other things going on. Don't you deserve better than this? You earn a ton of money. Enjoy your life. Stop worrying about kids who will continue to hate you. Trust me, this is only going to get worse. She's teaching them to be entitled to things that aren't theirs, yet treat the person they owe like trash. Therapy won't help when their mom is whispering in their ears. Not the a-hole, but the future looks pretty bleak with how things are going. They'll demand you for your money for college, weddings, down payments for their homes, baby-related stuff like baby showers, baby products, fertility treatments, and whatever else, while treating you like crap every step of the way. And your boyfriend will cave under every demand. The ex will egg it all on. Kick them out. Kick them all out and be free of them all. OP, what are you getting out of this relationship really? A loving and healthy relationship. As above, there are lots of complexities in a relationship that can't fit into a post. But I can safely say that I have a whole and fulfilling relationship. Everything written above does come off as I finance everything, which isn't wrong. But I can, and that's a choice I have made. I have only one living family member and no children, so I'm happy to help out my partner. I agree with some of the commenters here that it was a terrible idea to rent her in the first place, and I was truly naive thinking it would be appreciated by her. And honestly, if I could kick myself, I absolutely would. Isn't retrospect amazing? Lol. After some deep discussions and thought, we will be asking her to leave the house. We have a lease and agent in place, so they will handle that side of it. And my boyfriend understands the fallout. I just feel like guilt towards the children. None of this is their fault. Now for the update 4 months later. I've had some messages for an update on my original post, so if you're interested in the backstory, check out my profile. But ultimately, I wasn't the a-hole. I was the moron. After reading a lot of comments in my original post, I decided that while yes, I wanted my house back, I also didn't really love the idea of living in the house the nasty woman had lived in for longer than I. It didn't feel like my home anymore, and I really wanted my home to feel like my home. So I decided to sell. I spoke with my boyfriend and he was really non-committal on the situation but said it was my decision. I gave the ex the option to stay in the home and I would sell it as an investment property with a tenant or she could move out. She went with going absolutely batshit crazy and decided to out hers and my boyfriend's reignited emotional love affair. As it turns out, since my boyfriend and I have returned to our hometown, and I still have to leave town frequently for work, they had gotten close again. The ex sent me a load of screenshots of steamy messages / pictures and long-winded messages whinging about me and that maybe I would just let him have the house if my boyfriend and I separated, since I wouldn't need all that space. I obviously confronted my boyfriend and he looked incredibly panicked, but admitted to all and said that it was more of an emotional relationship and it had not turned physical, and that he was very, very sorry and embarrassed, and was only leaning on her for comfort because I was away a lot. He also misses his kids, and he felt emasculated by me a lot of time. There are plenty of other reasons and excuses not even worth mentioning. Needless to say, I'm now single. Have kicked him or her out and placed the house on the market for sale, and have just put an offer on a cute little townhouse on a beach. I've downloaded a dating app tonight after a few wines, and thought it was a good time to let Reddit know that most of you are right in my original post. Life isn't great, but I'm sure it'll be again one day. Felt emasculated by you? But it is completely okay and masculine when it comes to his batshit insane ex and baby mama? Well, damn. Hope he thinks it's worth it. It was all about the money. The main theme of the whingy messages was bloody money. Because I earned more, had more disposable income, also didn't have 5 kids. But what they both failed to see is, I work away 3 weeks a month for 12 hours a day to earn said money. The guy's a bigger idiot than I originally thought. No guy cares about their partner earning more or having more savings, unless there's a very, very good reason to be sketchy about it. In this case, his feeling emasculated about it ain't even close to a reasonable reasoning. But having a crazy chick going ham at every chance she can means that she would put me in a lot of embarrassing situations, and I would feel like walking on eggshells. Now that would be frustrating and emasculating. Honestly, he did you a favor here, and so did she. She exposed it, he confirmed it, and now you got 7 different kinds of headache and trash out of your life. You're better off for it. Yes, this is the update we needed. Can we have an update on if the cheating ex and his manipulative baby mama got back together? Are they struggling now that he hasn't got you paying for literally everything for him, and he now has to support 7 people again? I've been trying really hard to stay as oblivious as possible to their situation. Not really for them, but the kids. Despite what happened between me and their parents, I was a big part of their lives for years, and I do worry that they are now in an unsafe or unstable living situation due to their parents' stupidity/selfishness. So that part hurts to dwell on. But unfortunately, we live in a small town, so I do hear and see things. I was at a local market during the week and recognized one of the kids from a distance and hid. Sure enough, my ex was with her, so my assumption is they are together. It didn't really hurt to see them. It was like watching 2 people be so stupid, but knowing they're too stupid to see it. I'm glad you got rid of the deadweight. Do you know where they ended up? Not a clue. I'm not even sure if they're really together or not. After I confronted him about it all, I told him he could have the rental and I would find elsewhere to live. I left my real estate agent to deal with his ex, and told them some of the situation and that I didn't want to know anything other than when she was out of the house and when the house is sold. So far, I've been told she left the house mid-November. House went on the market mid-December. I've been staying willfully ignorant of their circumstances for my own sanity. Edit. Honestly, I'm a little bit emotional about how nice and supportive you are all being. I've been kicking myself stupid for the last few months about being so obtuse and people-pleaser about the whole situation. I'm sure those comments will come, but I can promise everyone, no one is more critical than myself right now. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not inviting my kids to my wedding? I, 48 female, am getting married to a 39 male who never been married before. This is my second marriage. The first ended with my husband cheating on me and moving in with his mistress. He offered me a tidy sum to divorce him. I took that money and moved abroad where I met my now husband. My kids, 27 male and 25 female, are angry they were not invited to my wedding. They found out through my extended family that I'm getting remarried. I'm not in contact with them by choice. They kept trying to make me get along with my ex and his mistress. Apparently, I was to graciously roll over and accept their disrespect. I have no desire to be friends with my ex and mistress. We got divorced 5 years ago, so they were 23 and 20. They wanted me to be friends with my ex and his mistress. My ex wanted me to give my blessings for his relationship. Apparently, I was his best friend and he loved me as the mother of his children, but he was in love with his mistress. He was shocked when I no longer wanted to contact him. My kids thought I should forgive him and be friends. They went as far as to invite me to lunch or dinner with them and then surprise invite my ex and his mistress. They would host family events with their significant others and lie to me that ex would be earlier or later, so I did bump into him. Of course, he was always there. They cannot handle the fact that he and I are no longer in speaking terms and want us to get along. Am I the a-hole for not inviting my kids to my wedding? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. The way your children have behaved towards you so far, I would be worried that they wouldn't do something wrong at the wedding. Also, I still think it's pretty cold-hearted and selfish for your children and ex-husband to keep confronting you about your ex-husband's cheating and asking for your blessing? What the heck is wrong with them? Your kids are over 20 and should know better. I think they believe me blessing my ex's relationship absolves him of guilt. Their father still maintains I'm his best friend and mother of his children. Who would treat their best friend like this? People say my best friend when they really mean my best doormat. Not the a-hole. Sadly, it may take something like what happened to you to happen to them before they understand. Congratulations on your marriage. I hope they never go through the pain I went through. Thank you. I never thought I would get remarried, but he won me over thoroughly. Not the a-hole. Email something like this to your children. You weren't invited to my wedding because you don't respect my boundaries. On multiple occasions, you have ambushed me with your father's and woman he cheated on me with's presence at events in which you assured me they wouldn't be there. Your father cheated on me, yet you criticize me and apparently absolve him of the wrongdoing that he did to me. I don't know how your ethical beliefs got so twisted, but this behavior is hurtful and wrong. I'm not in contact with you for those reasons. If you ever decide that there was no justification for your father's cheating and that I deserve to be treated in a loving and respectful way, I will happily welcome you back into my life. Not the a-hole. I was very ready to say you're the a-hole after reading the title. My father been remarried 3 times since our parents divorced, and neither myself or my sisters have ever been invited to any of the weddings. And we always thought we had a good relationship with our dad. If you're not in contact with them for your own mental health, then no, you're not required to invite them. A gentle reminder, you don't have to be the bigger person. You don't have to accept insincere apologies. You don't have to tolerate relationships that drain you. You don't have to spend your whole life showing up for people who have no interest in showing up for you. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my ex that her kids were not my problem or my son's problem? My ex, Tammy Lynn, tried to get me to give up my custody of my son so that her new husband could adopt him, and they could have a family that did not involve me. I refused. It cost me a lot of legal fees, but I got 50-50 custody of my son. Tammy Lynn and her husband had 2 kids together before she got sick, and a classic guy she left me for left her while she was dealing with cancer. My son was 14 when this happened, and he pretty much took over taking care of his half-brother and sister. It started to affect his schoolwork. I told him that he was a good kid for taking care of his siblings, but not at a cost of his own future. I talked to her about what was going on, and she said that she didn't want anything from her ex. She said that taking child support from him would let him get away and just pay money. I said I fully understood that sentiment, but that if she was going to put my son's future in jeopardy with her stupidity, then I was going to file for full custody and child support from her. She said I was being an a-hole for interfering in her marriage, and that I was still bitter from our breakup. I'm not. I'm happy with the life I have now. I was hurt when she left, and I did want her back at the beginning, but I'm over all that. Before you judge me, please know that she has money, and her ex can afford child support. And that I don't think my kid should be working as an unpaid caregiver when he has homework, and they can afford daycare and nanny. Not the a-hole. Seems like you're the only one currently advocating for your child, as you should. Navigating complex family dynamics, I prioritized my son's well-being over bitterness, ensuring you thrive despite the challenges thrown our way. Before you judge me, already wasn't judging you. You are 100% correct and not the a-hole. She birthed all those children, so she should take care of them, not your son. Or find someone who does it. It's okay if the older child help when asked, but it's not okay to make them play a parent. Those children have 2. Their father should have them if their mother is too sick to take care of them. Not the a-hole. It's great that your kid wants to help his mom, but he's just a kid. He needs to do kid stuff and live a young person's life. Exactly. OP, push ahead with your plans for full custody. You should also contact Child Services to advise them about her parentification to strengthen your case against her. Not the a-hole.